Thank you for pressing play, and welcome to another episode of
FanKingHaters,
your weekly fantasy show where we dish out hate on those fantasy players that mess up your DraftKings or your FanDuel lineup. I'm Marcus the Greek, and to my right is
Messiah the One,
to my left,
Melodic,
and you can follow us during the games on DraftKings. I'm gonna get right into the hates last week. I think fantasy as a whole last week was boom or bust for a lot of people. Messed up your yearly fantasy dreams and everything else. But my hates from the show last week has to be hamstrings and Black Europeans, aka Dante Moncrief, and stats as well. I threw out the stat.
Hitting on him?
Yeah, he did.
Was hitting on him, yeah.
See, but you was helped by hamstring, so I can't give you too much credit on that. If he would have played, but if was a fifth, we'd all be
drunk.
There you go. Messiah, who you hating on?
I'm hating on cold weather. I'm hating on football. I'm hating on fantasy.
He was one of those bad weekends.
I made it to the playoffs in 4 leagues, and I got kicked out of the playoffs in 3 leagues. If it wasn't for a bye, I'd be kicked out in all my leagues.
Man.
So all I'm gonna say is football was horrible. It was my lineup was fire last week, but according to the weather report across the nation, it was freezing cold with all my players. So I could talk about everybody. So I'm just gonna hate on football. Period.
All right, Melodic, who you hating on from last week?
I'm going with Melvin Gordon.
Injuries.
Sprained knee. He's still day to day as we speak. He's actually taking me out of the playoff game here in this next week because he was one of my main running backs.
It's the same as me. That's some fantasy woes.
Yeah, and then I'm going with Delaney Walker. 5 points. Tennessee really as a whole didn't do very good at all. I think they had like 88 yards total or something like that. 80 something, give or take a few. But it's just a bad week for them. So that's what I'm going with.
All right. I'm going to start out the lineups this week. I went with Tyrod Taylor at my quarterback going against Cleveland, 31st ranked rush defense. He gets 40 yards a game rushing. I think they're 29th against the pass. Sammy Watkins back. That'll help him with the passing. Then I went with Kenneth Farrell. Like you said, Melvin Gordon broke our heart last weekend. Mm-hmm. He came in, got 22 carries playing Oakland. I think they're the 3rd ranked against the rush in fantasy. Then McCoy from that Cleveland game. I think he runs all over them. Edelman was one of my receivers I went with. Denver long handoff. You can't run on them, but you can't pass on them short passes. I think he gets off.
I'm an Edelman fan because of this fantasy thing. He's been just such a disappointment.
And that's what made me get him really. That's Messiah's safety blanket.
But it's just so hard to say what New England's gonna do any given weekend because it could be a slot game or it could be a swing out to the running backs. Dion Lewis and James White are just like having another slot. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with him. And
then another Messiah pick that he's been talking about all year. He might not say it, but I'm going to say it. He was the first one to bring it up in the fantasy world. So I went with Taylor Gabriel at my wide receiver. My turn this week to get him in my lineup because we've been playing him all week. Melodic had him last week. I'm going to grab him this week. My homer pick of the week, I went with Emmanuel Sanders. He's up and down, but he's been hot lately. I think he's done scored or got a touchdown and 100 yards, in the last 2 or 3 games. Then I went with the Purple Reindeer, Kyle Rudolph.
Sanders will be his hate, man.
Oh, wow.
It has nothing to do with me hating on the dude or anything. That's just the way this fantasy works, man.
That's true.
He's had 2 good games. That means then soon as he picks him,
he's going to have a bad game. And that's why this show exists. That's why we do what we do, because that's exactly how it is. For my flex, I went with Baldwin. I think that's going to be a choppy game, but when they get in the red zone, Matt Stafford looks for him, so I went with him. Think that's going to be a hate too? Yeah. That's back-to-back hate. Y'all just hate him. Then I went with the Packers defense. They made the Seahawks look bad last week. I'm just hoping they can do a little bit of that against the Bears. Melodic, who you rolling out this week?
I'm rolling out Big Ben.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, end of the season.
Need to win to get in the playoffs.
They need to win and fighting for a spot, so he's going to come out, launch some bombs.
Okay.
Do his thing. It's going to be happy day for that.
He has no choice to have a good game because through 3 interceptions last week and what he did for me in my regular fantasy league.
Hey, it was a rough weekend. He was your running back. I'm telling you, we all feel it.
I got D. Johnson and DeMarco Murray.
That's another one. I got to jump on that. D. Johnson, last week, where was you at, man? You hurt me.
They all have to have a bad week sometime.
Not now, man. It's fantasy playoffs,
but they just had it, so they shouldn't have it the rest of the
I feel you. That's a good pick. He's Mr. Reliable. We don't call him that for nothing.
Yeah, I got T-Boy.
Okay, I like that pick.
I'm riding with him again. Cincinnati against Pittsburgh.
Rivalry game.
I got R. Matthews from Tennessee.
Rashard?
Rashard Matthews from
That's
Tennessee.
going to be his hate, just because he couldn't get his name right. That's going to be his hate.
No, I said R. Matthews.
That's going to be his hate.
It's the same, it's the same thing, but it's a double dipping.
Okay.
You know what I mean? With Thielen as my third receiver.
I like that play. And then, what's your flex?
Man, I got Rudolph. That's my double dip. I'm not double dipping with KC.
Okay.
Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
I got Thielen and Rudolph.
Oh, that's
as
a double
my receiver
dip.
and my
Okay.
tight end.
You're two of a kind. He don't like the double dip, remember?
I'm double dipping. If you want two of a kind with that, that's cool. You know what I mean? But I'm going with R. Kelly as my flex.
Fat Rob, all right.
You know what I mean? He's been having a good week. Past couple weeks, actually.
Okay.
And then I got the Packers just like you.
Good play. Messiah, who you rolling out this week?
Man, I'm going with Matt Ryan.
It's time for him to get back to like he was at the beginning of the season.
Man, they're back on fire. They're going against San Francisco. So then I also went with T. Coleman at my running back.
I like that play.
LaShawn McCoy going against Cleveland. And my receivers, I went with the most consistent receivers that I've been picking over the last few weeks. So I went with Taylor Gabriel, D. Inman, and Thielen from Minnesota.
I like that Thielen play. I really like that Thielen play.
And a lot of people, y'all been hating on him the last couple weeks. I know he's hated on a few times, but he's been double digits every week. My tight end, I went with Brait. I believe that's the way you pronounce his name for Tampa Bay.
He may be a hate.
Whoa, the Buck fan hating on a Buck player? Okay.
But what do you consider a hate? Because I'm considering 6 points is good enough for me. That's all I need. So I don't, if you think that he's gonna do 30, then yeah, he would be a hate.
I'm gonna say at
least 6. Okay, we'll see. That might be.
So I'm just being realistic. So he's gonna give me
You're
about
gonna have
6.
to give me that over under. Okay.
And at my flex position, I went with Carlos Hyde. I want to stick with that game because I think it's
might be a hate too.
No, I like that.
Atlanta cannot stop the run.
Atlanta
can't stop the run. Atlanta's defense is not good.
Playing?
They're playing at Atlanta. They're playing indoors.
Okay.
And just because Chip Kelly's offense still is not as fast as it was when he first started coming in the NFL, but he likes running the ball, and that's the only running back they really have.
Right. And
I like that play.
If you want to go ahead and key on him, then Kaepernick will run. So they have options. And then with defense, I just went with my older be goodie because they have special teams play.
That's his favorite defense.
I went with the Vikings defense.
That's a good play. Now, like we always say, hit us up in the DM. And you made a comment last week when we asked about your lineup, but you wasn't a professional fantasy player. And I was told that if you winning and you playing, you're a professional fantasy player. So I know you play any UFC lineup you had recently, basketball the past 2 days you want to hate on. Let us know about what's your strategy when you play basketball, because you do a lot more winning than you do losing. I will say that. I'm going to put that out there.
Well,
so, you got anything?
Well, when it comes to this MMA lineups, which I was in the morning, I give all credit to my son. He's a MMA fanatic, a professional fighter, so I let him do my lineups. He's done well. I can't tell you that I'm really keeping up with that, so that's my strategy with the MMA.
Okay.
With basketball, it's basically, I'm sticking to the late night games, trying to keep it to where it's 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
You got to find at least maybe 1 or 2 sleepers. You have an opportunity to be in the money, less numbers, and everybody goes after the big names in basketball. But basketball is real tricky because player could be balling, and DraftKings won't let you know until all the games started. But your late night player is sitting out, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Right.
That has happened week in and week out. That's the toughest thing about basketball. So I'm staying away from the guys that got accused. That questionable thing kind of scares you sometimes.
It means a lot, especially in basketball.
Yeah,
in basketball, the way they rest as much as they do and everything else.
Yeah, and, I just been paying attention to games, and the key to basketball is probably playing all the time or every once in a while, because then you could get go in it with a fresh mind and not be biased about it. So it goes either way. This man here made $30 off a basketball lineup. It hasn't really.
I wasn't going to see, but I didn't want to talk to him.
But it's all right though.
You know why? Okay, let's give the story on why I made $30. Because normally I don't play basketball during football, but this guy was asking for lineups. I said, okay, let's do this. And then he started talking crap because, I want it from the basketball guy. He's hating on it, brother. So I said, Jones, here's a lineup. Boom. Did I win him money? Yes, I did.
Yes, he did. Yes,
did I win myself money?
I will say that.
Yes, I did.
Yes, he did.
So,
and if you guys
don't hate.
And if you guys don't believe, We'll post it on Instagram, the lineup,
and Twitter,
and we'll take a picture of his lineup to let you know that we're not just making this up, and we actually have fun with this. We're not that serious about it, but we are serious about it. That we really do take it serious to try to make some money and give people knowledge to hopefully make them have fun like we're having fun, and get people who don't play into playing. So,
this is $1 billion industry. What's that IG they can check that out on?
Instagram at FanKingHaters.
And same thing on Twitter at FanKingHaters. As always, Hafidegwa.
Just understand this: in my lineup, there's gonna be at least one hater. Which one is it?
Later.